Nina Parker was 24, but life had aged her in ways that years couldn't measure. The bags under her eyes told stories of sleepless nights, and the calluses on her hands were the price of holding on when everything else threatened to slip away. Her son, Mason, was her world, a bright-eyed 5-year-old who saw magic in the ordinary, who still believed in superheroes, not knowing that his mother was the real one. Nina worked long shifts at Charlie's Diner, an old family-owned place where the regulars knew her by name, and the coffee was always hot. The tips were sparse, but they kept the lights on, even if just barely. The diner itself was a relic, a once bustling stop along a highway that now led to newer, shinier places. But Nina liked it there. It was a place where she could hide, where no one knew about the talent that had once made her dream of stages and spotlights. Nina could sing, and not just the kind of singing you do in the shower. She had a voice that could move people, that could make them feel. But dreams had taken a back seat when Mason came into her life. His father had left before he was born, and Nina had learned quickly that dreams didn't pay bills, didn't buy groceries, didn't keep the water running. So she sang only when she was sure no one could hear, after Mason had fallen asleep or when the diner was empty at closing time. One rainy evening, after a grueling double shift, Nina thought she was alone. The rain was coming down in sheets, and the diner was deserted. She was tired, bone-deep tired, and in moments like these, singing was her only solace. She leaned against the counter, closed her eyes, and let the music inside her flow out. The song was one her mother used to sing, a lullaby with words that spoke of love and loss, of holding on and letting go. Her voice filled the empty space, rich and soulful, carrying with it years of buried dreams and unspoken pain. She didn't notice the man sitting in the far corner, hidden in the shadows. He had come in just before the rain had started, soaking wet and looking for a place to wait out the storm. As she sang, he listened, spellbound, recognizing a raw talent that was too real to be ignored. His name was Jared, the cousin of a big-time record executive. He wasn't in the business himself, but he knew talent when he heard it. And what he heard in Nina's voice was something rare, something that couldn't be taught. When the song ended, Jared made his presence known, startling Nina. "Why are you hiding that voice?" he asked, his tone incredulous. Nina blushed, embarrassed that someone had heard her. "I'm not hiding it," she mumbled, turning away to wipe down the counter. "It's just, life doesn't leave room for dreams." But Jared wouldn't let it go. He told her who he was, who his cousin was, and how he could help her. "You shouldn't be working in a place like this," he said. "You should be singing, making a life for yourself and your son." Nina wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that there was still a chance for her, that she wasn't too late. But life had taught her to be cautious, to protect herself from disappointment. She had Mason to think about, and she couldn't afford to chase a dream that might never come true. But Jared was persistent. He returned to the diner every day for the next week, trying to convince Nina to at least meet with his cousin. Finally, she agreed, if only to stop his nagging. The meeting was set up in a small studio downtown. Nina was nervous, clutching Mason's hand tightly as they walked into the room. The record executive, a man named Vincent, listened to her sing with the same intensity as his cousin had. When she finished, he sat back in his chair, silent for a long time. "You've got something special," he finally said. "But talent alone isn't enough. This industry is tough, and it will break you if you're not ready." Nina knew what he meant. She had already been broken in ways that most people couldn't understand. But she also knew that she had survived, that she had to keep surviving, for Mason. Vincent offered her a contract, but it wasn't the golden ticket she had hoped for. It was a chance, but it came with strings attached, long hours, time away from Mason, and no guarantees of success. It would mean leaving behind the little stability she had, risking everything for something that might not pan out. Nina took the contract home and stared at it for hours. She wanted to sign it, to believe that this was her chance to finally make something of herself. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized that the cost was too high. Mason needed her now, not later, and she couldn't be the mother he deserved if she was chasing a dream that might never come true. In the end, Nina turned down the contract. It broke her heart to do it, but she knew it was the right choice. Instead, she continued working at the diner, singing when she could, but never letting it consume her. She found other ways to make ends meet, selling homemade crafts, taking on extra shifts, doing whatever she could to provide for Mason. Years passed, and Nina's dreams of singing professionally faded, but she never stopped singing. She sang to Mason every night, watching as his eyes grew heavy and he drifted off to sleep. She sang to herself on long drives, on nights when the loneliness was too much to bear, on mornings when the world seemed too heavy. And as Mason grew older, she taught him the songs, passing on the love of music that had sustained her all those years. The lesson Nina learned was a hard one: dreams are important, but they're not always worth the cost. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is let go of a dream in order to hold on to something more important. In the end, she realized that she hadn't really lost her dream, she had just found a different way to keep it alive, one that didn't require her to sacrifice the things that truly mattered. If you liked this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We post new stories daily. Also check out the ones you've missed on the Stories You Didn't Know You Needed channel.